The crypto industry reached new heights in 2025 with deal activity and fundraising hitting record levels. More than 265 mergers and acquisitions were completed, nearly 4 times the value of 2024, and this is according to PitchBook data. At the same time, 11 crypto IPOs raised $14.6 billion globally, up from just $310 million the year before. Joining me to weigh in on the outlook for 2026 is Matt Shaw, CEO and co-founder of Open World. Good morning and Happy New Year. Thank you so much for joining us. While we are only 6 days into 2026 and plenty of moves across all asset classes, so what can we expect from deal momentum this year?
Hi, Remy. Happy New Year as well. Thanks for having me. I think this is going to be a really sort of seminal year. I think that there's been a lot of sort of potential breakout moments in the past, but I think this is the year where the tailwinds are clearly so strong. And I think that this is a year where RWA stablecoins are going to truly find product market fit. I think the tailwinds with Chairman Atkins, and we saw the article from Larry Fink. All the investment banks that we're speaking to are gearing up for what is really potentially a revolution in finance. So I could see a lot of activity in crypto, especially in those areas. Plus, I think potentially M&A as well, and of course IPOs. There's a lot of Kraken and so forth coming this year as well.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, supportive U.S. policy as well as clearer regulations and also rising institutional interest did fuel the crypto boom last year. So what factors are currently driving investor demand when it comes to crypto-adjacent public equities?
Yeah, I think that this will be different from last year. I think obviously there was a big convergence of public markets and Web3, crypto last year. I think this year there's going to be more discernment. So I think that some of the sort of DAT strategies may not work quite as well this year. I think that people are going to be looking at underlying earnings and true real world applicability. And I think this year as well, as I say, obviously stablecoins is going to become a really major factor, as is RWA tokenization. But I think it just shows that there's tremendous appetite in public markets for access to this to this asset class. But I think there's going to be more discernment, and people are more focused on cash flows and earnings and true underlying businesses.
Yeah, and while we don't have a crystal ball, Matt, give us your take on what you think could be the likely volume as well as profile of crypto companies entering public markets this year.
Well, that's a tough one. I don't have a crystal ball, but I would expect much more activity than last year in terms of IPOs, and I think that we could see the sort of DAT 2.0, as it were. We're working with projects, for instance, where there's true core underlying cash flows and crossover into global brands. So I think that we'll see a differentiation from last year, but much more activity. I think obviously Kraken, Ledger, Securitize is coming. So I think there's going to be a lot more activity than last year. And really, I think we could say this time it is different. There is going to be this crossover moment, and this increase in investor appetite for these types of assets. But in particular, RWA, I think, is going to have this crossover moment. Stablecoins already has proven to have tremendous market fit. And I think we'll also see sort of neobanks built on stablecoins as a real theme. And the other themes I would see for this year are focus on privacy. So for instance, we've partnered with Abstract, which is a layer 2 privacy chain built on Ethereum. And as I say, RWA and stablecoins would be my 3 top themes for this year.
And building on what you just said, Matt, I do want to get your take on also regulatory alignment as we kick off the year. And you did highlight RWAs as well as stablecoins. So tell me about public market readiness as well as investor confidence. What's the temperature right now, and what are your expectations moving forward?
Yeah, I think regulatory alignment is absolutely foundational to what's happening. So I think we're building on the Genius Act of last year. That was a really tremendous moment, really, in the sort of in the life cycle of crypto, and we're expecting, of course, hopeful for the Clarity Act this year. So I think really, if you look back, I was actually involved in a security token all the way back in 2017. It was the third ever security token. And I think clearly we were too early, but now the tailwinds, have caught up. I think there's going to be regulatory clarity this year, which is going to really drive institutional adoption. So I think this is really the key theme this year. Major institutional adoption based on regulatory clarity. Obviously, this administration is extremely pro-crypto. And I think, as we've seen, Chairman Atkins has highlighted the tremendous advantages that tokenization could bring. So I do feel that, this time it's different. The tailwinds are very strong. And I'm very optimistic for a very, very interesting and intriguing 2026.
Well, Matt, we will have to leave it there for today, but thank you so much for joining us this morning, and thank you so much for your insights and perspective.
Thank you so much.